And good afternoon, everybody. On the 26th of November, 2008, a brutal terrorist attack took place in Mumbai. 2.5 days in which 10 terrorists, armed with rifles, hand grenades, and explosives, attacked simultaneously several sites in the peaceful and vibrant city of Mumbai. 207 innocent people lost their life, almost 700 were injured. The terrorists took over Bet Chabad and held hostages. On the 28th of November, after more than 2 days from the beginning of the attack, the Indian commando forces battled their way in, killing 2 terrorists. 6 innocent victims lost their life in the Bet Chabad. Their names are Rabbi Gavriel Noah Holzberg and his wife, Mrs. Rivka Holzberg, Mrs. Norma Schwarzblatt Rabinovich, Mrs. Yochevet Orpaz, Rabbi Aryeh Leib Teitelbaum, Rabbi Ben Zion Kroman. They and the other 200 innocent victims of the attacks, may their souls rest in peace and their memory be for a blessing. Yehi Zichram Baruch. Amen. We are very honored to invite the Israeli General Consul in Mumbai, Mr. Kobi Shushani. Sir, please.
Shalom. It's a very, very, very hard day for me. Personally, I will explain to you within a second why. But I was just came back from a Chabad house in Nariman Point. You can see the photo. My wife and I, my wife Yael and I. This is not my first time in Chabad house. I was there in 2008, 4 or 5 days after the event. I think it was the first days of December 2008. I was sent by the Minister of Foreign Affairs to this place. It was, I was go up to the rooms and I saw, when I've heard and I felt the death silence that was actually running in the corridors, in the rooms. It was, I saw the bullets holes. I smell the ammunition. I saw the broken windows and the doors. I didn't know the victims at all. But I've heard about them so many things. And it was very hard for me to remember these days because every year by year, I remember the 26/11, this terrible night or evening that I was there and I saw and smelled the atmosphere. 4 months ago, when I came to Mumbai, I decided that my first place to visit it's this Chabad house in Nariman Point, and I went there, and eventually something changed and made me a little bit happy. And sorry to say, in this very sad day, I've heard the noise of children, saw a live running in the streets. Everything was covered, of course. The memory of Rivki and Gabi, sorry to call them like that, it's still there. We see still some of the bullets in the Sefer Torah, the Echal, and in the walls, but smell and running kids make me happy. And maybe it's symbolized that today we have been there and I saw again the Rabbi Israel and his wife Chaya there with the kids, and we were put a wreath over the 178 victims, innocent victims that killed this event. And in this place, in Chabad House, this is the only memorial place in Mumbai that all 178 innocent victims was in one wall. It's a metal wall with their names. And you can see names of Indian, Jewish, Muslims, Hindu, left, right, women, and of course men, all of them in one wall. And this is symbolized that, that we, first of all, we need to be united. And second thing, we should not forget, and we should not, and we have to talk about them. And the spirit of this Chabad house and the place, and all over this afternoon, I'm going to be in Taj Mahal as well to put my wreath, will not be forgotten. Thank you so much.
Thank you, dear Consul Shoshani. And our next speaker, I would like to invite the first secretary from the Indian Embassy in Tel Aviv, Ms. Raki Mayuri. Please, Ms. Mayuri.
Shalom. On behalf of the Embassy of India in Israel and the Government of India, I thank everybody for taking the initiative for organizing this virtual commemoration of the anniversary of the 26/11 attacks. Let me begin by paying tribute to the victims of this dastardly terrorist attack. We share the pain and anguish of their families who lost their dear ones in the barbaric attack of violence on 26 November 2008 in Mumbai, along with 178 Indians and foreign nationals, including 6 from Israel, who were specifically targeted by the terrorists trained in Pakistan. It is extremely difficult to forget the awful images of 26/11, with the terrorists leaving behind a trail of destruction. At the same time, the resolve and the resilience of the people in full display during and after the attacks nullified the savagery of the terrorists. Unlike the murderers from Pakistan who came to kill the civilians that day, for the people of India and Israel, the Mumbai attack shall always remain a good example of how good will always prevail over evil. The terrorists murdered the rabbi of the Chabad house in Mumbai and his pregnant wife as an act of evil to end lives, including an innocent one that had not even come to this world. But the escape of baby Moshe Holzberg, with the help of the Indian nanny Sandra, is the ultimate example of hope and the miracle of survival. Moshe had his bar mitzvah 2 years back, for which Prime Minister of India sent his greetings, saying that his story and the courage of Sandra continues to inspire everyone. Further, after 12 years on the same day, according to the Jewish calendar, and at the same time in the very same room of the Chabad house, last year a mohel from Israel performed the Brit Milah ceremony of the newborn son of the current rabbi of the same Chabad house in Mumbai. This symbolic act again shows that the Jewish life will keep being celebrated in India, and no evil power in the world can take away that from us. Terrorists from Pakistan who perpetrated these horrific attacks hoped that by striking the places where our countries and people come together, they would succeed in driving us apart. But they failed miserably in their attempts, as this brought the people and governments of India and Israel closer than ever before. India and Israel are now strategic partners, cooperating in several spheres, including against terrorism. Both countries are in agreement that there can be no justification for acts of terror on any grounds whatsoever. We thank Israel for standing with India in our endeavor of defeating this scourge. Finally, I'd like to thank all of you who have organized and participated in this event, and to remember and pray for those who lost their lives in this carnage caused by Pakistan-based radical terror groups that still show no concern for the human rights of others and remain to be brought to justice. I also thank those who wanted to attend this event but could not do so. Toda Rabba.
Thank you, Ms. Raki Mayuri. It was touching, and India is certainly a home for us. And the Indian Jewish community always calls India Mother India and Father Israel. And that emphasizes the strength and the bond that we have with India. For our next speaker, I'm very happy to invite Ms. Yaron Meyer. He's the Director of Southeast Asia in the Ministry of Foreign Affairs in Israel. Mr. Yaron, please unmute yourself.
Good morning, everyone. I want to thank the organizers of this virtual event, memorial event, and all the participants, and take this opportunity to join the words that already been said about the memorial, the importance of memorial, this event as a tragedy that was took place 13 years ago, and today we see that life is back in Mumbai. The relations between India and Israel are stronger than ever, and everything continues. This is to say that we will not give up or give in for terrorists, and we will always continue in our road and our way forward. I happen to know personally Rabbi Gabi, who lost his life, who was murdered in this event. I met him in India a few years before this tragic attack, and I remember it was another tragic event. It was a tsunami. And I was based in Delhi those days, and I was sent to Andaman Islands to rescue and save Israelis, many Israelis who've been there. I was alone, and suddenly from nowhere, I see this a rabbi with me coming, and this was Gabi. And it shows how Gabi gave everything. You know, he was in Mumbai, very far from that area, but he found a way to reach Andaman Island. And together we worked there for a few days in that situation, helping the Israelis and other citizens who were there. I want to say that we will always remember Gabi as well as the other 200 victims, Israelis and others who were victims to this terror attack. And we will always continue to fight terror, but on the other hand, continue on our way forward, looking for peace and understanding among people. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Yaron. And now for our main speaker, and I'm very honored to introduce to you, and we are very fortunate to have for this talk, retired Brigadier Govind Singh Sisodia. Brigadier Sisodia is a decorated soldier and a well-known security professional. He has rich experience in handling variety of security-concerned situations. While in the army, he served in Sri Lanka, Jammu and Kashmir, anti-terrorist operations, and on China and Pakistan border. He was wounded twice in anti-terrorist operations, and he has been awarded thrice the gallantry. Besides army, he served with elite backup commandos of National Security Guard, the NSG. During 26th of November anti-terrorist operation at Mumbai, he personally led the commandos in successful operations in the Taj Hotel, Trident Hotel, and Nariman House, which is Bet Chabad. He was awarded the Vasishtra Seva Medal for the 26/11 Mumbai operations. He has been also part of various committees of Government of India on counter-terrorism and counter-hijack. He's a highly qualified officer who, besides army courses, has done courses on international crisis management and hostage negotiation with the Scotland Yard in the UK, VVP security management course in the USA, Homeland Security. These days, he prepares candidates for selection in the Defense Forces as officers. Brigadier Sisodia, thank you for joining us. Please unmute yourself. Thank you.
Thank you very much for inviting me to interact with you people. I remember that 26/11 very clearly in my mind. When this thing happened at Mumbai, I was with the National Security Guard, or we call it Black Cat Commando, ultimate weapon of the government of India to deal terrorism in the towns and cities, military deals in the various areas. When this thing was happening in Mumbai, initially we thought it was a gang war. Then later on came to know that there is a terrorist attack. We were monitoring at Delhi. The system in India is that we have number of states, and states have got their own forces. Once they feel that it's little beyond their control to manage such large attacks, then Government of India intervenes, and the National Security Guard was tasked to neutralize these terrorists who had come to Mumbai. We were launched and we carried out the operation. All 10 terrorists, 1 captured and 9 were neutralized. When people tell me that it was a successful operation, congratulations, I said, no, I don't feel happy about it. Because so many people, innocent people, lost life. For what? It was none of their mistake. If they were to fight with us, they could have done it on the border. Could have done it any other way. Why innocent people, Indian, foreigners, anybody? That was with the blessings of our neighbor who trained them over a period of almost 1 year. Gave them all wherewithal. Whether it was video recording, whether it was pictures, or whether they were seeing it on the Google. Trained them, equipped them for a particular task. And I really feel bad about it. In front of me, those pictures come, those innocent lives. I saw them without life. But then one had to carry on with the operation. We did the operation. So I'll just share my presentation with you. You see 2 things, and this very prominent is Taj Hotel. And then it's me outside the Taj Hotel, one little bit interaction with the media. Now, if you see, this is the area where terrorists had operated. The building burning is a Taj Hotel, other building is the Oberoi Hotel, and this prominent picture where you see a commando coming down through the rope is the Nariman House or Quad House, what you say, and last one is a captured terrorist. So this was the overall picture. In this, what I was telling you, that we were told in the night that we have to move to Delhi, Mumbai. We have certain our drills in which commandos are ready in a particular position. They are at a particular position. And early morning on 27th, we reached Mumbai. When we reached Mumbai, one police officer met us, and then we went to the police station. There's a lot of chaos in Mumbai because the terrorist had struck at a number of places. They came to railway station, the hospital. They came to Leopard Cafe, Nariman House, Taj Hotel, and Oberoi Hotel. When I went to the police headquarters for the briefing, people had panicked. Every minute there was a call to the police headquarters that they have seen somebody going with the backpack, there are 3 people running here, there's a car parked there, we have not seen the car. But police were able to make out clearly after their own intelligence gathering that there are 3 places. One is Taj Hotel, second is Oberoi, third is Nariman House. Why did they choose these 3 places? Why did they choose Mumbai? Mumbai, firstly, is the financial capital. Secondly, in the world over, everyone knows about Mumbai. Taj and Oberoi hotels, why did they choose? Because this is where the international tourists come and stay. And these 3 were in a close proximity, not very close, but still in a close proximity. Lastly, Nariman House. Why did they choose Nariman House? And this Nariman House, some of you have been to this Nariman House. But if you don't know the exact location, You cannot reach there, to tell you very frank. You have to go inside and reach there. They reach there directly there at a particular point. Means they had identified the targets, these targets, they had reconnaissance, they had made their notes and came there. Nariman House, obviously, they wanted to tell their friends in other countries other than the Pakistan, I won't name the countries, that we are against Israel, we'll do the damage, we'll put a little scare in them. In bargain, they would have expected a number of things: political support, financial support, training support. That was in that Nariman House was selected. And this Nariman House, you can't enter that easily. Now it's very, very difficult. Earlier it was easy. I'll cover certain details when I come to Nariman House and the operations there. The organization which deals with the terrorists, people in Israel are aware. You also face those challenges which we faced in India. Ours is a very large country. There are a lot of penetration points. You can come from north, east, south, west, sea, or through other countries. Some places we have open borders, some places we have covered borders. So it was easy for them to come. Then they identified the target, collected the data. We are well aware that there are certain people who are from Pakistan origin but had the US citizenship. They came to India easily, recorded, video recorded, went to the hotel, saw the place. Then next was training of terrorists. Gone are the days when terrorists used to get up, pick up a gun and throw fire a few rounds. They go with a lot of planning. If they have a certain aim, like in this case, aim to put a scare in the world, to tell them that India is not safe, we can penetrate anywhere, and this is our reason. They were very clear why they wanted to go to Nariman House. So they collected all the data and carried out a reconnaissance, training of terrorists. These terrorists were trained almost 1 year. They were to come in September, but because of the rough sea, they shifted it to November. I have questioned Ajmal Kasab, who was a captured terrorist. I asked him, how long you were trained? How you were picked up? What was your task? Why you were carrying these weapons? Why you were not carrying a particular set of weapons? Ajmal Kasab is a fourth class. From Pakistan, their education level is very, very low. He told me that we were briefed like this. Then he said, I used to operate Google Earth. For those who have operated Google Earth, they know that when you have that pro Google Earth, you can see every lane, every road. Fourth class educated boy, that too from Pakistan education, was able to handle. So 1 year, they recruited roughly about 33 new recruits, trained them. Then over a period of time, they realized that out of them, 13 are total hardcore, do die type, and they can trust them. Then they gave them further training. And subsequently, 10 people came, 7 were old, and 7 were new, and 3 were old. They were not allowed to discuss their whereabouts, their address with each other in the group. They moved in buddy pair. Buddy pair is 2 people were given a particular task. When they were briefed, others were not told that who's going where, but they are going together to Mumbai. That was the secrecy they had maintained. That probably if somebody gets captured, the plan is not leaked out. But when they were in the sea, they got to know each other and talked about it. I have questioned number of terrorists, not only in 26 Ajmal Kasab, I have in Jammu and Kashmir, where the other neighboring country is always up to some mischief. They've been training people, they have been financing people, they have been sending them. So I questioned some of the terrorists of a Pakistan origin. One thing was very clear when there's a terrorism across the border. Most of the terrorists had a low education, less knowledge of religion. What happens when you are not educated? You don't apply your mind. You don't apply your logic. Anybody can misguide you. His interpretation to you, what that person wants to tell you, only tell you, and you'll understand and you'll believe that. It's easy to motivate these people, easy to corrupt their mind. Ajmal Kasab was same category. He was a criminal. Yeah, another point is that most of them were criminal. He was a petty thief. He wanted to go for a big robbery, so he was looking for a weapon. He was identified by LET that there is somebody who they took him, then they trained him, they motivated him, and they are this thing. And then their moment of target area was very well selected, where they were to go. They had the guidance, advice, protection of government, Pakistan military. They came and their control was with two agencies. One is Saeed Hafiz, terrorist leader of Pakistan, and the military, and the support of Pakistan Navy. They came, and when they came, moved in the sea, they had one person as the leader, Ismail. Ismail was a experienced terrorist who was with them, and he had total control over them. But during this thing, they will reveal their identity and nothing. That's how we came to know. We were lucky that we captured Ajmal Kasab. Ajmal Kasab was able to, well, we extracted a lot of information and we told the world that is what he says, and it was incorporated. If he was not alive, Pakistan would have said straightway, said, no, they are not Pakistanis. The foreign agencies also went and confirmed the address. Pakistan had to accept. I would say today's Pakistan situation, they are facing terrorism because of 26/11. They try to do something wrong in India, then they try to tell the world that they are not with the terrorists. They went against certain groups. They went after Pakistan. That's what it was. And the execution, they were controlled from remotely, and they had a freedom of action that this particular place we have to go, you have to do this particular thing. You see the travel, they traveled so much from Karachi, then Porbandar side, then they came to Mumbai. They were 10 Urdu speaking, but to hide themselves in India among Hindus, we tie red thread on the hand. This is a religious kind of a thread when you have some kind of a religious ceremony. So they had red threads just to hide their identity in case somebody sees them personally. And then from there, they hijacked a yacht and they killed the owner later, and they came to Mumbai. As I had said that, this I already covered that initially they were taken as a gang war because it had never happened in our cities in the country when terrorists got inside and they started firing and killing people. These terrorists, if you see, they had 5 groups of 2 each. 2 went to railway station, 2 went to Taj, 2 went to Oberoi, 2 went to Leopard Cafe, and 2 went to Nariman House. So this was a buddy pair of 2 were given a particular target. Taj Hotel, 4 people went because 2 went to Leopard Cafe. I must tell you, where a lot of foreigners come. Israelis come there, Russians come there. They also identified that this is the place where people are there in the evening. They came there and they started firing. Then from there, they went to the Taj Hotel. I went through the same route on which, after getting down from the boat, they came to this place, Taj Hotel and Newport Cafe. A normal person cannot come. There's a lane and by lane. Again, probably somebody was guiding in them all throughout. At particular time, past midnight, the government of India decided that the Mumbai police needs a support. The section has to be taken a larger force, experience, larger rather than a specialist force. Then National Security Guard was acquisition. And then we were moved. This is what we do. And then we laid down the certain parameters for our operation when we were flying, me and our Director General, and in that Home Minister of India also flew to Mumbai, that being his own hometown. So nice of him. We decided that there should be less collateral damage. If possible, capture terrorists and later on try to say. We took some time to do this operation. Many people asked me that why you took so much of time. You see, the most important was to ensure safety and security of hostages. Otherwise, you can do like a film movie, do bang, bang, bang and kill the people. No, aim was to save them. And each target was very big. Taj Hotel, about 600 rooms. When you have to search a room, you have to follow procedure. You don't know who is inside, a terrorist or an innocent person, or innocent person in front and terrorist behind. You make a mistake, you kill an innocent person, you delay, you get killed. So the procedure had to be followed. Everything had to be searched, and every area had to be secured so that nobody comes in there, reoccupies it. So that it took time, and we ensured that innocent people were not killed. We went very deliberately, and then we were able to corner them and neutralize them. This is, I'll move ahead on this. You see in this picture there in the close proximity, this Taj, Hotel Taj, Nariman House and the Trident Hotel. Now I'll come to Operation Taj. I'll cover in brief. This is the prominently seen all over the world, this building, because the iconic building of Taj. It has got two separate buildings. One is the old Taj Palace, and then another one is the Taj Tower. You see, these buildings have to be searched. It takes time. There were a lot of foreigners, as you can see in the picture, and then I also spoke to them and all. Some of them were very calm and cool, but some of them were calm and cool when we started talking to them. Then after that, they realized that they're safe. They broke down. They started crying. So it was difficult to console them. Then another challenge, those people who have been rescued, whether they were terrorists or they were the innocent people, everybody had to screen. In this operation, Taj, we lost our one officer, Major Unni Krishnan. And this interesting incident is that when we cornered them, we took them to one corner where in Wasabi restaurant. We cornered them. But we could not penetrate inside because they had taken a position that there was only one entry. It was covered. Then we had to break over. The windows had very thick curtain. We fired some particular ammunition, blasted the window so that light is there. Then when they were a corner, they started coming down, and we had anticipated. We had positioned ourselves, and then we cornered down below and killed all the terrorists. That there were 4 terrorists in that. Sometimes surveillance becomes problem, then you start doing innovations. If you see that it's a fire brigade vehicle on a fire brigade vehicle. On that, we had put our surveillance team and snipers. From there, they were observing them. They put a sniper. This thing, they got an elevated platform at the level of certain floors of the Taj, and we were able to, we're trying to see their movement in wasabi restaurant when we were not able to get inside, but we are putting a lot of pressures, various kind of innovation we did and all. Then finally they had to come through this, and where we neutralized them. And even if a tough terrorist has got some fear of the God, one of the terrorists got hit in the arm, so he used the word Rabba Raham Kare, God have mercy on me. So that was the another thing. The terrorist, he tried to run away. The curtains had caught fire. We shot him outside. Yes. Sad, they had put the hotel on fire. They burnt the people, and the family of manager of Taj died there in the hotel. This is the area we operated, and the last through this we went and killed the terrorist, and our officer, Major Uni Krishnan, when he was climbing up, fire came to him. His buddy, his partner got hurt. He evacuated them. He tried to attack them from the side. The terrorists riding, they fired at him. He only said that don't come up. After that, he went quiet. Probably he knew that trap is there, other people should not come and attack. So he warned, and later on, we found his body there. But that was the lead where we got the exact entrance other from the other side to corner them. There we came to know that terrorist is in this particular floor, this area, because we were searching in all over. This is where he was. The terrorists were hiding here, and this they had, you see, certain bags and all as a protection terrorist had put. This is the Major Uni Krishnan. Now we come to hotel. This is, it has got 2 restaurants, and then terrorists, when they went up, and people tried to run away onto the top floor on the terrace, but terrace was locked. The number of people were killed there. Because their lesson was learned that the terrace should be kept open. Even for a fire escape, it is required. If you lock it, people will get stuck. Operation this way, we were able to finish it early because we found them in a particular room and they were not coming out. In between, only one terrorist came out. He tried to challenge our officer that if you have a son of your mother, come in front. Officer was smart. He said, I am son of my mother, but if you are also son of your mother, you come in front. He didn't come. He ran away inside, and we did our procedure and we killed them. Now I come to the Nariman house. You see Nariman house, there's a ground floor, then you see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 floor, and on top there's a few rooms. And there, when this operation was to be launched, I came to know that that lady who had come with that small child, Moshe, I spoke to her at the Kolaba police station and tried to find out certain information. She was really scared. She told me that you can't go through the lift because lift is damaged. Then she said that you can't go through the staircase because they have damaged the staircase. What had happened that terrorists had thrown grenades. So there was blast in the stairs. That certain one or step must have been damaged, broken. So she thought that you can't use the stairs. Then we had the challenge how to go. I went around the place. If you see that Nariman house, if you see it from the front, on the left-hand side, there's a building. I went into that building. I tried to explore that, can we enter through one of the windows there and penetrate one floor from there and get inside, since we are not in a position to go through the staircase and the lift. So that's what we were thinking. And if you see on the right side of the building, right side of the Nariman house, there's a building. So just keep it at the back of mind that this building, we used it to neutralize the terrorist in a way that they should not interfere our operation. We realized it that we can't go through the stairs from the left, we can't go it. Then we decided to come by the helicopter. There was a challenge that if you come down through the helicopter, if some terrorist goes on top, he fires, and helicopter gets the bullets, then all commandos in that helicopter will die. So the head had to be kept down. So building on the right side was used and the left side used. The weapons were put, fired into the windows, and also the terrorists are not able to move. But on top we had a issue that it was a very small landing place. If you see, we have to land on a rooftop. If you see where stairs are there, on top of that terrorist landed, that topmost portion. And they had a lot of wires in that. If helicopter wavers, then you can get stuck in the electricity wire. This is the place when I was going for reconnaissance. You see, left side I'm in the uniform. That was in 2008. This is the area when I was trying to find a way to go inside. If you see my picture in other one, it is 2018 I had gone. There is no change. It's the same door. Picture is probably not clear come out. It's the same door, same kind of sand is put and shutter has been put, because that day when the shutter was put there, they exactly. The Nariman house is very well secured now, the entry and other thing, but the other areas needs to be kept under observation. There, somehow, I feel that where we lack, we have the electronic intelligence, we have the CCTV camera and other things. Most important is human intelligence, neighborhood intelligence. If you have a neighborhood intelligence, human intelligence in the close proximity, which is the area which is under threat, then you will know that somebody has made a suspicious movement. How do you do that? Whether you have a source there or whether you have somebody opening a small shop or something like that, there's a various methods. But the area which is under threat always, there has to be some human intelligence kept there to see that area. Like I would say, if I am there, Nariman house, I'll always keep it under observation, because they have done it once. If they want to prove something, they might try again. Entering from main door is difficult because double door and the CCTV camera and various things and various lock systems. But these locks are for, when we say in our language, in the houses you put locks for the gentleman, so that his intention should not change. But for thieves, there are no locks. He always finds and ways and means. So we have to keep an eye on the thieves. What are his intention, how they is going to get inside. And this 27th no operation started, and 28th hostile fire was, 27th means NSG operation has started. What happened when I went there? So we had limited commandos, and I put this house under surveillance. Nearby building, I had put my sniper rifles, I put my surveillance team, I put my cameras, binoculars, night vision devices, so that we could track the movement. But the movement was very difficult to track because curtains were there on the windows. You can still see the curtain on the windows. That is after the operation, this area. So those were the challenges. And then I went around to see the area and look for various entry and exits. And this, our force was divided. They went down and came down by the helicopter, and others fired from the sides. This is the commandos are coming down the helicopters that you see on top. There are wires there and very small platform. Here are one commando. I'll tell you how his incident. Commando Haldar Gajendra Singh. Haldar in our language, in Britishers call them sergeants. Sergeant Gajendra Singh. He was a commando, qualified commando. When we were going, so terrorists were in one room. Two terrorists were in one room, but there's only one entry. They had covered the entry with they put refrigerator and various things, and they had taken a position behind it. So we tried using the other weapons, but still we were not able to make it. Haldar Gajendra Singh, he moved ahead. There's another room with the door of this particular room, this floor, there's a door and there's another room. So we thought that the other room has got an entry. He dashed to that other room so that he will try and make entry from there, and other people to keep the terrorist engaged from their side. Somehow there was no entry, and he got hit while he's trying to penetrate that particular floor, and he marked it. And even after getting hit, he kept firing them, and it gave the indication that this is the area these two terrorists are there. Here, when we found it difficult to go, we blasted the wall. When we blasted the wall, our commandos immediately jumped inside. Two commandos, terrorist fire in them, but they were very quick. The moment they landed on ground, and they shot and killed both the terrorists, and both the terrorists were killed. This is the Nariman house, stairs and all, which were damaged and broken that time. Now, if you see, there are two pictures. There are two holes. In one, you can see me from the backside, and the other one, here you find that gap. There we had to put an explosive and blast it, and we entered it, and we killed the terrorists. These are the terrorists who were killed there. These are the few pictures, arms, ammunition, which we had captured. In this operation, we had rescued approximately 610 people. In all three locations, we had rescued them. And this is that Ajmal Kasab, whom I had interrogated, and he turned out to be a valuable asset to us. Many people told me that he should have been killed and shot. I said, no, he was worth more than $1 million, because of him, we were able to nail Pakistan in this issue. We had our own certain things. This operation, we learned a lot. We interacted with various agencies, even from Israel. Some people had come, one major had come, I don't remember the name. I also gave them the presentation. I had a discussion with them, and I told them certain things, and we interacted with various agencies in the world, refined our drills, made it better by the experience of others. Ours, yes, in India, the army has got a lot of experience, because every day we are dealing with the terrorists, live situation every day. And but Israel has got its own experience. There's a great to learn from Israel, how to deal with the everyday threat, how to anticipate, how to be proactive. These are the things which we learned from Israel, and our relationship, particularly after 26/11, has moved in a very, very positive manner, and is growing day by day with Israel. Whether exchange of people, visiting foreign dignitaries, the diplomatic efforts, the exchange at the military level, sharing of knowledge, intelligence, other things, we have grown big, and it's good for us and good for the world. It's not good for India and Israel. It's terrorism is a phenomena all over the world. Our experience, our joint ventures, our cooperation will be helpful to the world to neutralize terrorists, share our knowledge, experience, technology with them, because this thing keeps coming up. One group goes down, some other groups comes up at some other place, and suddenly they'll come to different countries, different this thing. No commentary should feel that we are safe and secure. You have to be alert all the time. Before 9/11, people didn't believe what terrorism is. When Twin Tower happened, then people realized how bad it is. Munich Olympics, people didn't realize it. But then after that, they started realizing it. So why should these things be allowed to happen? And we have to be proactive. Gentlemen, this is the general brief. I have finished my little bit presentation. I thought I'll give you a little insight. And in case anybody wishes to ask me anything, I'll be too happy to answer the questions.
Wow, thank you, Brigadier Sisodia. That was, first of all, very interesting. I think it was the first time that we got some kind of back view of whatever happens behind the scenes in these attacks, and it was very important. If we'll get some more questions, or if anybody will ask something, we will share it with you.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you.
So guys, if you have any questions, please write it in the chat, and we will ask Brigadier Sisodia further on. For our next speaker now, please, he's a well-known leader in our community in India. His involvement in the community life and in the activities in Bet Chabad in particular are very much appreciated. He was also a very close friend of the Holzberg family and used to do babysitting to baby Moishi. And I'm very honored to invite a dear friend, Mr. Sam Marshall. Please, Sam, unmute yourself.
I must say, Brigadier Sisodia, you have given a very excellent rendition of what exactly happened. I myself followed it very closely. In fact, you could say that it was like an intimate experience for me as well. I would also like to just say hello to Yaron Meyer, and of course his Andaman experience, which also I know something about it. And I must say that Mrs. Mayuri, you've been wonderful, the way you have described things, and of course the relationship between the two countries, which is fantastic. Now, the thing is that my background basically is that I was living in Singapore, and the Chabad rabbi there tells me, he said, Sam, since you're going back to India, I came back to India because India was shining, things were changing, and the economy was improving, and I was taking back running my office there. And he said, well, I want you to take care of my friend, Rabbi Gabi Holzberg, who's moving to India. And I must say that I did up to a point try to take care of him, but you know, it was a matter of our lives were connected in life and death. 26 November is a day I shall never forget. I cannot forget. I was living at the Taj, and I was just recovering from a cancer operation and doing my rehab around the swimming pool of the Taj 4 or 5 times. But on that particular night, my angel, Orna Sagiv, the Israel Consul General, invited me for dinner to catch up there, where it was meant that I left the Taj hardly 20 minutes before the terrorists arrived, and where they did their bedlam with about 7 people killed around the same area of the pool. And I met a friend of mine moving in, and we said, let's catch up tomorrow. He went in, got killed. I went out and I was saved. And as there's the old saying that they say the good die young and the sinners live long. There are enough time to catch up for their sins. So maybe that's what I'm trying to do now. Gabi was a young man in a hurry. Typical Chabad. They are the evangelists of the Judaism. Great chutzpah. He was staying initially at the Strand Hotel, which was opposite the Apollo Bandar, and one room, curtain between the bed on one side and his table with books on the other side, where my wife Irma and I attended Shabbat prayers, Erev Shabbat, and Irma was actually like a mother figure to Rivki. And in fact, I'm not sure if you all know, but Mendy, the little boy, the little child, suffered from muscular dystrophy. And then, of course, then they had a second child, Dovi, with the same problem. And I remember asking him, how do you reconcile with this? He said, well, I wrote a letter to the Rebbe. And what did it say? That Mendy had not completed his life in his previous term, came down to earth, and would then go back again. Now, with that, how can you argue? That's the way they believe, and that's the faith of the Chabad and our people. I'll give you a few anecdotes, which I think is quite revealing about him. Tsunami, he calls me, he says that I need $500. I said, why? He said, I have to go to the Andaman Islands. So he hitches a ride on a plane, and that's where I think he met up with Yaron. They arrive at the particular island. There are like 90 Israelis there. Parents are all anxious, and they ask him, that they say, what are you doing here? Well, don't you know about the tsunami? No. So he gets all the men to put on their tefillin, typical of him. There was another time where he wanted to make everybody kosher with their chicken. So he goes across from Bombay to Aligarh, and there he slaughters 250 chickens, brings them, puts it in a freezer that he's got up in his hotel. He had moved to a better hotel since, and then started sending it to the Israel embassy, the consulate, the Chabad house in Goa. As I said, he had a lot of initiative. The other time was Hanukkah, which is where we are celebrating now. So he tells me, he says, I'm going to put my menorah, I'm going to do it at the gateway of India. I said, you're not going to get the permission. He said, don't worry, I'll find my way. He calls me, he said, are you coming? I said, what? He said, okay, I've got the menorah and I'm going to the gateway of India. So we get into this Victoria, the Victoria which no longer applies in Bombay. And the Gora Gari. And on one side, he sits one side, I sit the other side, menorah between us. We land up at the gateway of India. And we have at least about 50 of our community dancing around and enjoying themselves. And that's when some Indians asked, he said, Ye kaun hai? Meaning in Hindustani, who are these people? I said, Ye Yodi hai. He said, Yodi. Now, so the Jew is known in India and everywhere else is known as Yahudi, which is from the tribe of Judah. So that's what was quite relevant. Very often when I came from travels, I sat with him and to find out how had he upset Solomon Sofer, who's the head of the Jewish community, because obviously we had our old traditions and Chabad had a different approach, but somehow they managed, and eventually Gabi became the reader on Shabbat for the Parasha and Haftarah. But what is very relevant now to this particular story about what we're talking now is that every Friday night, and this happens with Chabad all over the world, we have a dinner where all Jews from all over are invited, the expatriates, people travel to Rishikesh, to Ladakh, wherever, and then recount their stories. Chabad is sort of a home away from home. And I still remember that there were two men there, and they said their fathers were Jewish, but their mothers were not, which means, of course, according to halakha, they are not Jewish because you determine it from the mother. So Rivki, the wife, is telling my wife that she was very uncomfortable when she found that one of these two men was on the fourth floor of the of the building, and she asked me, and this is where there was the sleeping quarters, whereas where we ate and received people was on the second floor. So then he asked him, "What are you doing here?" He said, "Oh, I'm sorry, I lost my way." That was one of the terrorists who returned, doing a recce, eating the food of the rabbi, spending time with us, and then coming back to do his bastard work. Anyway, what can you do? This is what the terrorists are. They are fed with this. I mean, Assad as himself, if I remember, was in fact sold to to his parents, sold him to the terrorist authorities for $500. That's how it was. Complete ignorant, but that's how they handle things. I also had a tape, which I want to tell you also the following is that at the time when we were at Orna's home, we looked at the TV and we thought, as Brigadier said, we thought it was gang war. But no, it was very clear that it was another, almost like September 11. And we tried to reach the rabbi. Everybody tried. But somehow, I don't know how it was, but this was typical of Gabby, because whenever he needed something, he'd give me a call and he expects me to do my job. So there I was. I finally got him on the mobile. And I will never forget his words. So I can't talk, I can't talk. And then you hear shooting, and then the phone drops. That was when, I mean, he didn't die immediately. He died after a while. Rifki, I don't know when she did, but you know, Rifki, by the way, was 5 months pregnant as well. Anyway, so here the terrorists, 10 terrorists, and quite frankly, they did a job that was it was unbelievable, to kill 186 people. And we had, in fact, to continue with the story, is that there's the El Al flight, which was waiting at the tarmac, as usual, flying to Mumbai. And I had on board my childhood friend, Nahum Laufer, and his son, Erez, the family, and they were wanting to come and film rafting to Bombay, which is what happened. So I told Nahum, I said, look, you better not come. I don't know where the terrorists are. We don't know how many there are. He said, no, he insisted on coming. So there it was. He arrived. I put him up in Juhu, in a hotel in Juhu, just assuming that terrorists were busy in the city, and they wouldn't go down to the beach area. And so in fact, that's what happened. And I must say that timing-wise, it was unique, unusual. The fact that here was Erez Laufer filming, and I must say that, in fact, it was, as Nahum said, it was like his experience escaping from one Holocaust, from Poland, from the Nazis, from Iraq, and then coming to Bombay in 1942, and 66 years later, you have another terrorist attack. It's as if the world has not changed, just it's handled differently. So in fact, they had made this film, and of course, what broke us all was in the synagogue, when for the first time, little Moshe, poor little Moshe, cried out, Ima. It broke everybody. Anyway, so, and of course, Sandra took good care of him. I mean, the way that happened was she locked herself up in the ground floor when this fighting started. She terrorists coming in, and little Moshe suddenly woke up, wandering around. The terrorists were up there on the 4th, 5th floor, facing the black cats, and she ran up, snatched him, and that's how she went out. But this it didn't end like that. And this is typical of Chabad. They've got guts, they're fighters, they're evangelists. So I was the one to pick up the parents, the grandparents, and take them around and give them some comfort. And they insisted that I would travel back with them. So we had the military aircraft to pick us up from Mumbai on the Monday, and our friend Shimon, Rabbi Shimon, he gives me the replica of Chabad House. Now he knew that I was very much against Gabby taking this building, and I mean I told him, I said that it's in a crowded area. Where's the security? The Israel embassy or consulate offered him security, but he says, God is my security. Instead, he gets an elderly man with a bamboo stick, and that was his security. But you can't stop them. Anyway, so here is this replica covered up. And I said, all right. So I said, when do you want it back? He said, no, well, in Israel, I'll let you know. So we land there. Then a few days later is the big event at Chabad House, where there are something like 5,000 people. There was Peres, Barak, Netanyahu, the chief ravs, the whole lot, whole caboozle. So I bring the replica with me, and I said, well, Shimon, now where do you want me to deliver it? He said, no, you keep it. Okay. So I'm looking around for a place, 5,000 people. Finally, I found a spot to sit next to a guy, and he looks at, I have this replica covered, and he looks at me and said, now, what is that? So I take off the sheet. The guy starts crying. I said, why are you crying? He says, I was there 2 days before the murder. I am the new Shalia for Bangalore. And there I was. And the replica was there in front of me. So then he asked me, he said, who are you? I said, I'm Sam Marshall. So he told me, he said, Gabby said that if you needed anything, call Sam Marshall. So there I was. This is the way Chabad is. And Gabby always had a way to reach out to people. And, so, this is how life is and destiny. And I must say that whatever he did in a short time, 2003 after 2008, that he did a lot, and he put Chabad on the map. And I must say that Rabbi Israel is doing a fantastic job. I myself find it very difficult to go to that building, but one has to do it. In the meantime, we have to say that we thank God for Chabad, and we thank God for Gabby. And I must say to you, Navdir, thank you for calling these wonderful people. I think there's a lot we can have in common. I must add one thing is that we talked about Mother India. Well, India is a matriarchal society. And by the way, I'm born in India. I'm born in India. I lived in India. I studied in school at the Cathedral School, Sydenham College. I run the Maccabi organization, etc., etc. My father came to India in 1918 from Iraq. He escaped Iraq during the First World War, and we worked for Unilever at the time. But as I was saying, that India is a matriarchal society. You follow the lunar calendar. Israel is also, in my opinion, a matriarchal society, and we have great similarities. And one other thing which I picked up some time back is that, you know, you have the sannyasis in India. And I discovered that not all Hindus are cremated. There are Hindus at the highest level who are buried sitting up. And you can imagine that Hinduism is the oldest religion, so we've learned a lot from them. There's one last thing to tell you, that what had happened also at Kabad House is that I had a tape which the security guys of the consulate had given me, where there's a terrorist in touch with his handler in Lahore or Islamabad. He said, "Ye do aurat," he's got two women, hands tied behind their backs. And he said in Urdu, he said, "Ye do aurat, hamare samne hamara haath band kiya." I tied their hands, two women. How should I shoot them? Because with the terrorists, all he did was spray them and not knowing who he shot, but just doing his damnedest. And of course, to shoot a woman in cold blood is like a mother. So he said, "Allah Akbar, wonderful. Allah is praising you for what you have done. Don't worry, the virgins are waiting for you." This is all in Urdu. So what he does, he takes his gun, shoots him at the back of the head. One of those women had come from Mexico for Mumbai. I don't know why she came to India, but she wanted to do a shiur with Gabi, 1 month period. She wanted to, for some reason, she wanted to go to Israel, where she had her 3 daughters, and to learn more about our history and our background. She came that night to say goodbye to the rabbi. That was destiny. Anyway, all I can say is thank you for the opportunity. I'm still in touch with Mr. Moshe, as I call him, and with Shimon, and they've done wonderful work. They've built a halfway house in Afula, where they welcome soldiers coming from the north down through. They give them breakfast, they give them comfort. This is Chabad, and we should praise them. Thank you again, and wish you all well. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Sam. Thank you very, very much. It was very touching, very important. And actually, as we learned, not 6 people died in Bet Chabad, but 7. That is something that we have to remember. Before we continue, I would like to show you a short movie about the Indian community, Jewish community, and about someone that did the first year of memorial. A few minutes.
Well, I'm back in Mumbai now to continue the research on the Baghdadi heritage structure of the Jewish community in Bombay. It's really exciting, to remember the childhood. This is the apartment where I was born. I used to stay at the age of 9, Kaya building. You have it over here in Hebrew and in Marathi. Jew Garden, I was born over here. I have my photo over here as a kid. It was there, and that spot over there. Day we left Bombay, 20th of May, 1953. I've just completed my second book on Bombay, which is called Bombay, Mumbai, City Heritage Walks. It took me 3 years to complete the book.
We will be hearing from Professor Sapir himself on his the Jewish heritage in Bombay and Mumbai, and I'll be happy to launch his book. It is rare in Jewish history that you've had a long, continuous period where you've thrived in freedom and equality, as you did in India. And I must say, we Indians are very proud of that.
My name is Edna Samuel and I am from the Bene Israel community of Mumbai. I run an advertising and a PR company in Mumbai. Life is busy. Bombay is always busy. I was part of the organizer of the first year of 26/11 memorial event to honor the victims of the terror attack on the Chabad house in Mumbai.
I have seen death at very close quarters. I'm just 7 years old today.
Remembering our heroes.
The Jewish community has existed peacefully for centuries in India, contributed to the building of India. And then you have these terrible attacks on the Chabad house in Mumbai in November 2008 by Pakistani terrorists, specifically directed by Pakistani handlers to target the Chabad house in Mumbai. And that tells you something. It tells you about the deep-seated anti-Semitism of the Pakistani controllers who sent these guys. And frankly, there is little evidence that anything has changed since then.
I don't know if it was bullet or something, blood coming from his leg, and the computer room was pitch dark. I think Moshe boy saw, which he can't remember. I know that Rabbi was full of blood. When he becomes a Rabbi, he comes here and takes over his father's and parents' work.
So 2000 years ago, there was a shipwreck in Alibag, and that's how the Bene Israel arrived in Mumbai.
This is how we started.
Yeah, this is the beginning itself. Because that time there is a shipwreck, lot of people died and buried here. This is the tradition, this is the generation by generation story. This is a history.
So this movie shows a little bit about the Indian Jewish communities in India, and we'll see the movie soon. The only thing I want to do now is, first of all, thank all participants. I wish to thank, just before we end, the General Consul of Israel in Mumbai, Mr. Kobi Shoshani, the First Secretary of the Embassy in Tel Aviv, Ms. Raki Mariuri, Mr. Yaron Meir from the Ministry of Foreign Affairs in Israel, Brigadier Kovind Singh Sisodia. It was amazing. Thank you very much, sir. Mr. Sam Marshall, our community member, for taking us behind scenes for the family matters and a little bit more color about the people themselves. So thank you for that, Sam. Before we end, I just want to wish you all, next week is Hanukkah. It's the festivals of light in Israel. And I hope these lights will show us the way, the right path will bring light to the hearts of universe, heart of people, and will make us all united. So thank you very much, everybody. Shabbat Shalom, Namaste, and goodbye. Thank you.
Thank you so much.